Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and today is July 23rd. It's a Tuesday evening. I'm in Southern California. You found me on Facebook, and I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. This is the right place. I am here to talk about how to fight CPS and how to hang on to your children. Now, I know most of you, this may be the first time. I am a loving father, a husband of 6 children, been married for 32 years, and I too have been in CPS. CPS is a bad thing. It's something that you don't want to be into and stuff. I'm going to hold off on my phone number because I want to talk about some of the other things first of how they interact in this room here. I'm not ready to take calls right at the moment. So this is a room where we talk about the child protection system. And this particular agency is not a very good agency. It's very corrupt. They're not transparent. They don't like parents. They don't like children. They just want to make money. It's a money thing for them. All it is money, 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 money. And I'm sad to say that I lost my house due to them. I lost my credit. I lost my second-born daughter. And my family's been in shambles. The boys are really not themselves. They learn or they teach how they alienate from parents. They traffic our children into foster care system. It was terrible. It was terrible. There are several ways you interact with this podcast. One way is that you can just by being in this room as a listener. I'm thrilled to death if you just want to come in here and listen. I have people from around the world that come in here and listen. So it's open to everybody in the world. And I do have countries that visit us from time to time. And you're free to welcome to use the emojis to express yourself, to say hi, or whatever you need to do with them. A second way is you can text in comments. There's a space there for comments, but it's important when you type it in a comments you pertain to a format here. First of all, your question or your discussion should pertain to the child protection system, the branch of social services supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and when they break the family apart, to bring the family together through family reunification. The studies have shown that the best parents are the biological parents. Text in a comment, and then you have a CPS question. Please show your name, your city, your state, and your country, so I get kind of an idea where everyone is from. We've had a lot of people from all over the world. I've had right now about 12, 13 countries. Recently, I've had Bangladesh and New Delhi and South Africa. And then I had Mozambique, which is above South Africa, across from Madagascar on the east side. Then I have Rwanda, which is Central East Africa, opposite Mozambique and above South Africa. And then I had Liberia, which is Northern Africa on the west side. A guy named Archie comes here and talks about scouting. He's into scouting, the boys and girls. Now, it used to be called Boy Scouts. Now it's called scouting because they allow girls in it. So, going over from Africa, We go to Europe, and I've had England, Scotland, Wales, the United Kingdom. I'll call in. I've had Denmark and Sweden. And then in North America, I've had Canada on both sides. And then Mexico. And then down in South America, I've had Ghana down there, a little town called Georgetown. They are east of Venezuela along the coast. It's Ghana, Guyana. And they've called in. So these countries have called in, not called in, but text in about CPS problems similar to what you are and the states are. So it's nice to compare and hear what they have to say. Now, be complete with your CPS case when you first start because it makes it go a lot easier and faster. It's hard for me if I have to play ping pong ball with you where I'll ask a question, you give me a short answer, ask another question, short answer. Try to start off by talking about your family. What is your family? Is it a mother, father? Is it a husband, wife? Is it girlfriends? Is it lovers? Is it partners? And then who makes up the family? Are there children? How many boys, how many girls, the ages, and so forth. And then what were the allegations? Was the allegations abuse or neglect? And a little bit more detail in the allegations. And then the second part is, how were the children taken? Did he give them to you? Did they get taken from your home? How were the children taken? Were they in extreme danger? And then I need to know where you're at on your case so I can help you. So you could say, well, we just had our first hearing and now we are doing the safety plan. Wherever you're at, let me know, and then I'll work through it. So comments are very important. I appreciate all of them there. Now, a third way is if you want to be a guest. And if you want to be a guest, all you're going to do is contact my show producer. Now, her name is Grace, and she works behind the scenes. She makes sure that the podcast goes well, and she'll help you with all kinds of technical things, keeps me in line. And then she'll explain to you about being a guest on the show, what you can do, like no smoking or eating food. And then being a guest, you'll be right beside me and you'll be able to see the comments and you'll be able to help other people in the room. So that's the third way. I've said by listening is one way, by typing in comments another way, and then by being a guest is a third way. The last way is the phone number. And all you have to do is call in my office phone during the show hours. My office phone number is 626-698-0990. That's 626-698-0990. And I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. That's 14 shows. I'm on at 10 o'clock every morning except Sunday. I come on at 8. I'm on every night at 7 p.m. for an hour. And it's all Pacific Standard Time because I'm on the west coast of California, in Southern California. Not far from the ocean. I live at the beach. Anyway, that is the fourth way, and I'll leave my phone up so y'all can see it, and you can call in right now. The phone is all set to take calls. Let me make sure that the volume and everything is all set up. So, also, I want to see if my regular people, I have to give them a notice about that I'm live because sometimes it doesn't give notifications very well. My phone is going through all the prompts. Now, I can only talk to one person at a time. So if you happen to call in, I may have to drop it because, as I say, I can only talk to one person at a time there. Okay, all the volumes are turned up, and I'm logged into the Wi-Fi. So I use a streaming phone. It's called Vonage. On my phone, it's called Vonage. And when you call in, that's the application my office uses, Vonage. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a hold of a couple people that normally are here. Let's see how it comes up here. There's some people that have already called in and left messages. I only answer the phone is between my show hours. And looks like we had some people just come in. Ian, Christian, glad to see you. No, we just got started. Perfect timing. Yeah, I know you've told your place where you're from. Would you mind saying it once again for me? And also, I'm still interested in helping you on there. Okay, so okay. I just notified Natalie, who's in West Hollywood, California, to come on to show she's a regular that's on here all the time. And let's see if get hold of Danielle, because she used to be my host, and then she had to stop doing it because her computer broke. I'm hoping that she can come back again. Okay, we got some people notified, and we got Christensen, Miss Christensen. Glad to see you. Yeah, I am. What did you ask? Well, there's something you want me to do a project with you. I'm still interested. I want to help you there. And yeah, you're Washington, D.C. Now remember, you're the mother that, oh boy, it was a terrible experience what you went through. I'm in California, yes. I'm in, Southern California, south of L.A., along the beaches there. And so I'm glad you've joined me. She's from Washington, D.C. Ian Christensen. She is a mother from Washington, D.C. that a couple of days rolled in and is so grateful to have her join us. But she's had a horrific experience, very horrific experience. Now, I've told you all how to interact with this podcast. Just by listening is one way. Text me comments is another way. Schedule yourself as a guest. And by the way, to schedule the email, it's grace@vincentwdavis.com. It's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And you just give her the name, the morning show or evening show, and Monday through Sunday. You just pick those days, and you just email to Grace. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And she'll gladly help you, tell you how you get loaded onto StreamYard and what you can do as a guest on the show. And right now, I have my phone number up in case people want to call in. Well, I know, that your children to get raped. You were raped twice, once in police custody. It was terrible. Who threatened to kill your kids? Miss Christensen, who threatened to kill your kids? That's terrible. Well, as I told you, you need to speak to someone serious. That is a no-no. I don't care who the CPS. They shouldn't threaten to kill your kids. Okay. All right. So if you want to know what social worker of CPS is, their typical MO is all you have to do is look at my social worker or the social workers of other people. Now, I'll start in the year 2024 in Prescott, Arizona. 8 social workers, they're all women, white, decided to buy pink t-shirts. And on the front of the t-shirts, they had stenciled professional child kidnappers. Professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, do you know where your children are at? Well, they wore these t-shirts, paraded them out in public at Walmart, Target, Costco, all the big stores. And it infuriated parents. They were caught, they were fired, and so was the director and they called their CPS, the Child Protection System, DCS, Department of Children's Services. And so the director was fired as well as the 8 social workers. So I left with only one social worker left, a guy, and he had to handle the whole load there. And how well are the children being protected? How are they? And that is a terrible experience, but that's what your social workers are like. Another social worker recently, a month and a half ago, put on her Facebook page an ad from 1848. Now, why she picked this ad, I don't know. But this ad was run in 1848, 10 years before the Civil War, 140 years for today. And the ad said, "Black children for sale." And what she'd make this story so strange is the woman, the social worker from Chicago, Illinois, is black herself. So why would a black social worker who's working for the Child Protection System in Chicago, Illinois, put an ad on her Facebook, "Black children for sale"? I mean, that's stupid, and that person should be removed from the child protection system. They should be removed. I mean, that's uncalled for. Now, a third social worker was investigating a young child at the school, and they went to the school. They asked to speak to the child, and then he said, "I want alone time with the child." So the school gave him a room. No one else in there. And the man asked this girl to take off her clothes. He's a pedophile working for CPS. First of all, you don't go alone with a child. And second of all, you don't take clothes. I mean, it has to be done by professionals. I don't think he was just an investigator for CPS. But he was fired. Well, they did a retaliation, and the mother was retaliated because his buddy worked for CPS, and so he retaliated and had it so that the mom was accused of molesting the son. And earlier, her daughter was accused her son molested her. So the thing got worse and worse and worse. And I'm trying to tell you out there, you got to be really careful of these social workers. They're like animals. They have no value. They have no commitment. They're not trained. And it's really, really sad. It really is. And it seems like uh, this got worse as time went on. It got worse as time went on. Now, my social worker, who was a young girl in her 20s, didn't finish, I don't know if she finished high school, but she didn't have a college degree. She had no experience in social work. She wasn't licensed. And she was trying to make decisions for her family, and she was only 22, 23. What experience she had? She had hardly nothing. And she's making decisions. And what's so bad about her, she lied on the stand when my wife's sister was trying to adopt her young daughter, and we didn't want that to happen. And so our attorney and I hired Vincent Davis about a year later, and he went in there and he cross-examined her and asked her, "Did you have any domestic violence in your home?" To the social worker. "Did you observe or see?" And she says, "No, the parents are great. There's no reports of social work." Well, Vincent took out a police report, several police reports. There was a heavy amount of domestic violence. And so that social worker had mud on her face. But she retaliated and said, "You're never going to see your daughter again." So she had our daughter divorce us, her brothers, rest her family members, and change her name and seal her birth certificate and get adopted by a foster care parent. That all happened at the age of 12 in 2015. It was terrible. It was terrible. It's okay if the internet's slow. It's okay. How do you get a new what is a GAL? I have no idea what that is. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for joining. Okay, good. You're with your plants. Natalie has had a hard case with her children, too. Well, Miss Christensen said GAL. How do you get a new GAL? What does GAL stand for? It's funny. I don't know all these acronyms. I guess I should, but I apologize. But if you can tell me what that is. So this social worker of ours retaliated and had our daughter divorce us, seal birth certificate. I mean, it was sad. She's 22 now, but she did all this at 12. And it's wrong. It is so wrong. There's so much injustice done in my case. It's terrible. It really is terrible. I could sue CPS, but I need a $50,000 retainer to do it. I'm glad your succulents are successful. You want to give cactuses to the social workers? They don't deserve that. You're being too kind. You're being too kind. Um. Anyway, welcome, Miss Christian. Welcome, Natalie. I'm so glad to have Kristen. Again, is from Washington, D.C. Natalie is from West Hollywood, California. And here we are talking about, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. GAL stands for Guardian ad Litem. Guardian ad Litem. Oh, okay. Thank you, Miss Christian. And it was being looked up. Thank you very much. Um, I really don't know in Washington, D.C. I'd have to research it on the internet how you get a new guard lithium in Washington, D.C. I can try to see what I come up with now. Hmm. Korea lithium. Okay. Okay. What a guardian of lithium is, it's an attorney appointed by the court to represent someone's best interest in a legal proceeding. The court may appoint a GL if it determines that the other representative would be inadequate. A GL can represent individuals or interests unless there is a conflict of interest. Well, it is an attorney, so I guess it's another kind of court appointed attorney, but I don't know if they'll do any better than the court appointed one in the district. Now, what it says here in District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., a guardian ad litem helps the subject determine the subject's interest regards to the petition for a general proceeding. If the subject is unconscious or otherwise wholly incapacitated of determining his or her rights, even with assistance, the guardian makes that determination. The need for such an appointment depends upon the circumstances of the case. An appointment of the guardian is not requested very often. Okay, there must be, are you a special needs mom, or why do you need this guardian of lithium? Oh, you're talking about giving them to the children. Okay. All right. Are the children incapacitated of understanding a real attorney? I mean, how old I see your daughter, I think, was 5 years old. Was she not? Miss Christian, your daughter, I think, was 5 years old. Okay. They work with CPS to make sure they can take your kids. Well, I've heard nothing but bad things about the guardian. I don't know if it's a good idea to have that. I mean, in court, you should have an attorney that you hired to represent you and your children. Now, if everybody's working off court appointed attorneys, the children and you, it's going to be hard because they won't fight for your case and they'll try to settle it with the social workers. They may work with CPS, but they're going to tell CPS everything. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You can. You see, Miss Christensen, in Washington, D.C., you need a real attorney that'll fight for you. Now, I am talking about attorney. That's my rule number one. And on my screen, I have a phone number. And that is the phone number of Mr. Vincent Davis, who is, sponsored this podcast and made this podcast possible. And I want to thank him. And he is open for a consultation with him for 30 minutes for $60. So that's 30 minutes for $60. He'll talk to you. And it behooves you to do so because he has 35 years experience as an attorney. He's a trial attorney. He has fought CPS and gotten the children returned. He's also sued CPS, did lawsuits both in both in state and federal court. So he has done civil lawsuits. So he's an excellent attorney. But you can talk to him and he'll help you negotiate through CPS and what he recommends you need to do about your case. He's good at that. And he has his own podcast. But if you call in at 888-888-6582, say I want a consultation with Mr. Davis. Also mention that Bob Pace sent you. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. So it's worth every penny to talk to him, because he'll help you out so much. So rule number one is you really need to get an attorney. I will not say you can't use your court-appointed attorneys. I will say you can't not use the litem. But the thing is that I've found is that once you have them there, you can't talk in court. You can only have your attorney talk to court, and they'll ask you to sit outside. So I see no point in a court-appointed attorney. One, they won't fight for you. Two, they have their caseload too much. I mean, they have more than 30 people in the caseload, and that's way too much to represent everybody there. So when you do talk to Mr. Davis, you'll be very rewarded and you'll be a lot better off feeling-wise about your case. I used him. I got back my 2 boys. Now, I'd like to move on to my rule number 2, and it's the paperwork. I was really bad about my case, and I kept my paperwork on little Post-it notes, little envelopes, and short sheets of paper. You need to organize everything into one notebook. Or you can have a couple of it, depends how thick your case is. But try to get a notebook 6 inches thick with 3 rings. I don't know if it's 2 inches is the max. I don't know if 3 inches, but you need to get the thickest notebook you can, 8.5 by 11, with a 3-ring binder. And then you could hole punch all your paperwork and stick it in there and organize it using subject tabs. You get these subject tabs and you write on them what they are. And one of the most important thing is the incidents. You need to keep track of all the incidents. You need to write down the date, the time, the location, and who was involved. They need to describe the incident, and they need to describe the outcome. And the outcome may take, several days for you to get the outcome. But that's how you want to do your incident log like that. And so you have that really important with your documents there. So a notebook will be good. You can do other things like all your court papers. You can hole punch those and organize them in there. Use a yellow and a pink highlighter to find things. Highlight things that could really make it useful for using that notebook. But it'll come in handy because 6 months from now, you won't remember everything. You will not remember everything. Now, rule number 3 is a very important one because that's where we're interacting with the police and the social workers. Now, you have a home, you have a yard, keep it locked at all times. No one can enter your yard or your home without your permission. That is your castle, it's your constitutional rights there. So, police may say, oh, we have a right to enter it, but they don't legally. They don't. They need to only enter your home if they're invited or there's extreme danger happening. The child's being in danger or things like that. Or they have a court order that says they can enter the home and what they can do and take your child or wherever the case is. There's a general consensus every time there's an allegation made that you guys are already guilty and they will try to remove the child right away, even though they're not in extreme danger. My kids were in school, so I have no idea how they were in danger. To this day, I still don't know how they were in danger. But the typical MO, it seems like with the women I see, they are just constantly there, very sad because they got to raise the child on their own. And if they lose their child, it's really so tough. It really is tough there. So say no to social workers. Don't let them in your home. Try to talk short answers. Yes, no. Same thing goes for the police. Don't let them in your home. They have to have a court order to get in there. And again, that court order will spell out what they're going to do and it'll be signed by the judge. But that's going to be present. So I'm telling you, and also don't talk to social workers. They'll use what you say against them. It's yes, no answers to police and social workers. And if you feel pressured, an easy way to get out of them or away from them is say, hey, look, I need to speak to my attorney regarding what you said. I'll get back to you. Get their names, look at their badges, their ID cards, and get their names and phone numbers. But you have that right to question, what they did or not do or whatever the case would be. Now, another aspect of this coming in and taking your child or breaking into your home and stuff, there's medical trafficking. That's where you take your child to urgent care for work to be performed on your child. Be careful. There are case workers that hide out there that'll be looking for issues like that. So you got to be very careful and be kind of heads up, savvy. So that's medical trafficking. Another aspect of medical trafficking, besides taking your kids in for urgent care, it could be your wife is having a baby or you're going to have a baby. And right away, they're going to try and take away the baby because you tested for positive for drugs. Again, they'll end up taking your children because they'll come up with something that's not true, but they'll try to circumvent and take them. I say it's wrong. It's always wrong like that because they're your children. And I said the police And the social workers want to lie and cheat. They do that because of the money that's involved. As I told you earlier, it's $80 billion a year from making this kind of money here. Natalie says, best thing to do is not answer the phone too. I agree. You don't have to talk to him. Natalie says, what's that? Department of Children and Family Services. That's the CPS in California, Child Protection Service. They will call to trick you. I know they will. They always do. Even police can call on the phone. Medical kidnapping, yes, you know about that too. Yes, and doctors and nurses blame me for all the medical problems on my baby and said, I'm not a good mom. Natalie, you are a good mom, and I'm sorry that human beings are so that cruel to each other. That's the problem here. We're in this room here together. We're all hurting. And if you weren't a good mom, you wouldn't be in this room. You wouldn't be sitting here carrying on or talking. You could care less if you were a bad mom. You wouldn't be worrying about your kids. But I know you guys do care. And each of you have your own story. I'm so sorry that you have to go through all that. So that's rule number 3. Now, rule number 4 is an easy one. That's where you do your research. Everything to know about your CPS in your state and your city, county. You need to find everything. You need to look up cases and so forth and find out a lot more about the judge, what kind of judge he is, and so forth. But I want you all to keep fighting and don't give up. Don't give up. You will get your child back. You just got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. It is hard to carry on, Natalie. A lot of times we want to give up, but don't give up. Think of your child. He wants to see you, mom or dad. So you got to care about your family. You got to care about your family. It's a really hard thing that you're going through, and it's not rewarding at all. And when things are bad, CPS makes it bad. They make you feel so bad. You know, they're not good people skills. In fact, I say people, CPS is like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen into this rabbit hole and it's strange doors and rooms that go nowhere. So that's my rule 4. So the first rule was get an attorney. Second one was do your paperwork, organize it. Third one is no to social workers and police, and do not let them take your children. Do not let them take your children. They're tricksters. They'll promise one thing and do another. So you got to be careful there. You got to be really, really careful there. Okay, I have about 15 minutes left of the show. And I'd love to take a call if someone would like to call in and talk about their case, or continue to text me and ask me some questions. I'd love to help answer them and so forth. So if you have any questions or any topics, one topic that gets talked a lot about that is called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. That act was instituted by Congress to protect the Native American children. The Native American tribes are the first immigrants to the United States. And it's sadly that when they were brought to reservations in 1875 and told no matter they had to stop their way of life, things did change for them. But they still love the land They still live off the land and so forth. It may not be very fruitful, but they are making some ways there. And so the ICWA was instituted that forces the Child Protection Services or the Child Protection System to investigate the child to see if they are registered or could be registered. It's not it has to be, but if they could. So if they're registered, the process takes more time. The children are a lot more protected. They don't have a foster family. They have the tribe, have their own families that take care of the children. So, the first immigrants, the American Indians, they have that law, the ICWA, that will protect them. Also, be very concerned about getting new evidence where things have changed to get back into court. You can get a hearing in California. It's called a JV 30. Excuse me. It's called a 338, and all that does is it places a motion to have a hearing because there's been some new information that's changed or so forth. So, oh, Nanny says about a petition. Okay. Yeah, you could do a petition, and people have gone to Sacramento and done things too. So, yeah, that might work out too. Again, I'd like to remind everybody if you want to call in, it's 626 698 0990. And you can talk about your case live. I'll put you on speakerphone. Okay. Natalie says new evidence, change circumstances. Yes, that's for a 3-8. That's a motion to have a hearing. The judge has to have a hearing. So it's really important. Um, these things, the 3-8 or the ICWA, you can find them on the internet, and there's a lot can be explained on better than I can. The ICWA thing is that if you're registered on the tribe, then your Indian children are put with other Indian families. If you're not and they could be registered, they should help you, but make sure you follow through yourself. Make sure you follow through yourself here. I have a caller that just called in with area code 917. Welcome, and who am I talking to?
I'm Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Have you been on the show before?
No, sir.
All right, and what part of the world are you from, Jessica?
New York.
Okay, we have another person from New York. I've had Rochester, New York City, so I've had a lot of people there. And what is about your case, Jessica? How can I help you?
They just took my children away from me yesterday.
And when you say they took them away, how did they approach you? I mean, were you in your home with your children? How did they take your children?
I was in my home, and I started hearing the doorbell ringing. The ACS worker called me, and my daughter went upstairs and looked out the window and said there were police around the house.
Okay, what you did, first of all, you should never answer the door. And what you need to do is you really need to talk to an attorney quick, decide what is there. Did they tell you that there were any allegations about your children?
They're saying that I've neglected my children.
Okay.
I work from home. I started a notary signing business so I could be home with them. I homeschool them. I get fresh food delivered to the house every day, make fresh meals for them every day from scratch. They're loved. They're so loved.
I know they are, Jessica. I know you're hurting from this. See, here's what the problem is. You probably don't know. Did they have a court order to take your children?
No.
Well, by law, your constitutional right, you can refuse to open the door, you can refuse to talk to them, and refuse to them to take your children. And what you could have done is after they left, you could have driven your children to a family friend in another state, and they could watch your child while you deal with them.
I don't have anybody that could take my kids in. I'm by myself.
So you have no family members in New York?
No.
Do you have family members in other states?
I have a family member in Washington.
That's quite a
another in
ways from New
Florida.
York. That's on the other side of the U.S. Is there a? Are you married, or where's the father?
Father's in Florida, and the other father, I have no idea where he is.
So you have two
Wants nothing to
children.
do with us.
You have two children.
Yes, sir.
What are the ages?
3 and 6.
Okay, and you say the other father you don't know where, so he wants something to do with your child, right?
Yes.
And the father in Florida, does he want to help?
He does, but he doesn't have the means to do anything to help.
So it was just you guys were just lovers when you had the children, right?
I wanted to have a child. And I was
Okay.
friends with his mother.
Right, you want to have a
And his
child,
mother
but
told me
did the man you're with want to have a child?
he did. He wanted to have a child, so we had
Okay.
our daughter together.
But have you guys thought before you had the child to work out all the details? Because now you are a single mom.
We co-parent, and everything is fine with my oldest father. My youngest father, he wanted me to abort my child, and he gave me an ultimatum. Mm-hmm. Either you get rid of the child or I'll leave. So I told him to leave.
Right.
And he isn't around.
Do you have an attorney? Do you have an attorney that you've hired?
I'm trying to find one. The attorney, we have 5 minutes before the preliminary hearing today, and he spent 3 of those minutes texting and calling people about God only knows what.
Well, he's a court-appointed attorney, and you use him, he's worthless.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, the court-appointed attorneys are worthless. I'm not telling you don't have to use them, but you're better off pro se. Go ahead.
The one thing I did like that he did in front of the judge, the ACS worker and her attorney tried to say that they wanted to talk to me to work something out, and he said in front of the judge, I'm advising my client not to speak with them. And
Good.
he repeated it in front of them to make sure that they heard.
Good.
And I agreed.
That's good. So, here's the problem
the
is that
only thing that you're supposed to talk to her about is when her visitation is.
Yeah. So are you able to still see the two children?
I haven't seen them yet.
So they haven't talked about visitations at all?
No. And I gave them information for a friend that lives nearby to have them placed with him. And they are taking their time clearing him so that he can take the children.
Yeah, that's called the next of kin. You're trying to, instead of going to a foster care parent, you're trying to go next of kin. Is this person you're trying to arrange it? Is he a family member or is he just a friend?
He's a friend.
Okay.
He's a friend.
How well do you know him?
I've known him for a very long time.
Okay, so you would trust your children with him.
Yes, I do.
Now, what was it, the neglect at your home that they're in intimate danger? They had to take them. What intimate danger were they in?
The first reports that they told me was that, the house was a mess. They said that my fish tank was murky. They said there was water spilled on the floor. We have a family tradition of putting our handprints on the walls, and they said that was a hazard. They've escalated it now. They're saying that there's trash everywhere, that the kids there's no food in the house. the kids don't have any clothes. They're not being provided adequate shelter. They're not being supervised. Like, I have literally built my whole life around these children so that I could be here for them. And you're telling me that they're being neglected.
Yeah. What is your court-appointed attorney said?
He said to just do what they said, to just go along with it. I asked him about 1028, and he said I only get one shot at it, so it would be best not to waste it now. To try and just gather more evidence.
What is a 1028? What is a 1028?
A 1028 is when you request that the custody of the children be returned to you, and the hearing is scheduled within 72 hours for them.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, could you not have the house cleaned up and have food put in there and clothing and so forth?
Everything was cleaned up.
Okay.
She showed up. Everybody was sick. It's not like we were running around tearing the place up. We were sick. We had been sick all week.
Okay.
And she used that to have my children removed.
Oh. Well, I don't know if the court-appointed attorney is going to solve your case. He may do something there, but usually they don't fight to win. They just do the easiest way out.
Well, during the meeting that I had with ACS, I recorded the meeting, and I read through the report that they had handed me at the meeting, and I addressed all the allegations that were made against me in the recording in front of ACS, the ACS supervisor, and the program supervisor that they were trying to sign me up for. And I brought pictures of the house from yesterday and from this morning. I brought all the paperwork because they were saying that my kids have never been to the doctor's office before. They've been going to the same doctor their entire life. They're saying that they have no insurance. I brought paperwork from the doctor's office. I brought paperwork from the insurance company. I brought the pictures. He didn't look at anything. He didn't look at anything.
Well, I'm at 8 o'clock. That's my time. My show is over, and I'm always supposed to go to 8 o'clock because we have other shows going that have to get started. But I like to do this. I like to invite you to my morning show or my evening show tomorrow, and we can continue talking about your case in New York.
I'll be happy to join you tomorrow.
Pardon?
I'll be happy to join you tomorrow.
Okay. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So I'll see you tomorrow, and we can continue this case. All right, people, I want to say good night. Thank you all for listening, and keep fighting for your case, and know that I do care, and I do want you all. That was a warming story about a lady that's all alone that's trying to have her 2 children. So thank you, Natalie, for coming in and joining me and being so supportive of the show. I want to thank you, Ian, for being a part of the show and sharing what you were talking about. I learned some things tonight, so thank you there too. And then I want to thank, I guess we didn't have Faye tonight. All right, well, maybe she'll be in tomorrow. She has a commitment tomorrow morning. So anyway, thank you all, my listeners, the emojis and everything. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.